can start with apologies, Steve.
Yeah, I've had apologies from Timble and Ed Hall.
And I think Ruth as well, is that right?
Yes, yes, it is.
I've not heard from Ruth directly.
Ruth just sent apologies to me. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard so. Yeah, thank you.
That's fine. That's okay.
Okay, right. Well, thanks everybody who's here for being here. Yes, unfortunately, Ed has a very, very old computer, and it doesn't have a camera or anything on it, so so he's not able to be involved with Zoom. I'm just attempting. Oh, declarations of interest. That's the next thing. Has anybody got any?
No.
No.
No. No.
Okay, right now, Claire has to get away. So, is everybody happy with us dealing with sort of any sort of marketing or whatever we can do to try and address the littering issue? That's why I asked Claire if she could come along, so that we could see if there's something that we can get done about it. So Claire, do you want to kind of,
well,
because I know you've got a few ideas.
Well, I mean, I've just been seeing various things on their social media and just thinking, obviously, like everybody, we need to do something, whether we get banners down the beach, whether we get, you know, posters put around. I mean, we did see that one, didn't we, that we sent around that they have in York, which is perhaps slightly offensive, but also I guess it does make people think, you know, there is the, you know, we can go the softly approach, or we could be a bit more direct, and I guess that is going to be a decision from yourselves, but we most certainly need to address it. And then there was the one in Portainen as well, and that had bags on the sign itself, so that could also be really good. And I know that Lang and Brasserie have been doing a really good thing where they've been giving a free coffee for every bag of rubbish collected. So there are, you know, there are some lovely things in place, and I know the locals and the local cafes would definitely get behind it, certainly down Langlands, and I'm sure we could get people on board at Caswell and you know, down Mumbles, West Cross, all the areas. I'm sure we can do something, but we need to make a decision really and try and get these signs up, because if the good weather comes back, then all of a sudden we're going to have mass littering again, aren't we? And I know Maddie's got some beach cleans planned, which is fantastic, but it would certainly be great to get these signs up sooner rather than later. I spoke to Will about it. We were just having a conversation, and he sent it to CCS, and they came back saying, whatever we do, we've got to get it all printed in Welsh as well, so that's going to be quite cumbersome on the sign. And also we've got to, if we get any complaints, they all have to come down, but they would allow us to put them up on various posts. So I'm not sure which ones, but I can be more specific than that when I check my email, which I haven't got right in front of me right now. But there are certain stipulations and guidelines, but they didn't actually have a problem with us putting the one up about, you know, being a tosser, or do you think someone else should pick my rubbish up for me? And that is the key message, is that I think a lot of the youth are uneducated, and they really do genuinely believe that people get paid to clean up after them. And there's such a, I mean, I walked my son to school last week, and the rubbish strewn all over Slade Road and the top of, by the Newton Inn pub was absolutely horrific. And I did say, oh, do you think we'd be able to pick some of this up? And they went, no, it's not our job that it's all over the roads. And I just thought, well, if it isn't your job, you know, then it's everyone else's job, but nobody's picking anything up. And it was just like, oh God, I don't, you know, you just don't know what's the right thing to do. So anyway, I definitely think we need to get some signs up which are quite direct. I love leave only footprints. Maybe we could have something like that too, or maybe that could be part of the message. But anyway, I'm happy to create these designs, you know, help get them sorted out. So once you've all discussed the messages and decided on what you want, just let me know.
Okay, thanks, Claire. Rebecca.
Thanks. Yeah, I completely agree. I love leave only footprints. It's also quite like in vogue at the moment, that whole like, you know, be at one with nature, leave only footprints, take only memories, that kind of thing. I adore the don't be a tosser, but we absolutely will get complaints. And I just know the demographic that we live in. And if CCS are saying one complaint and they've all got to come down, it could be a massive waste of money to get them printed in the first place. So I think I would go for something like the lead, or, you know, you could adapt the message of the don't be a tosser banner, you know, because we did talk about, do you remember a little while back before my honeymoon, we were talking about dog poo, and there was like the, there's no such thing as the dog poo fairy. Basically, there is no one coming to get your litter. Yeah. So take it home. Yeah. I think that's the key message, like Claire says, there's no one coming to get it. So all you're doing is ruining the environment for everyone else. But yeah, nothing that we're going to get a complaint on is my advice.
Okay, Richard.
Yeah, personally, I like the forthright adverts. I get you're saying that, oh, some people complain. Whatever we do, some people will complain anyway. But do you really have to take it down, even if you just get one complaint? That seems bizarre.
I know, that's what Swansea Council have said, apparently, yeah.
What happens if you don't take it down after one complaint?
They will be taken down. Okay, Sarah.
Hi. Yeah, there is a problem. I noticed on social media, and I responded to it quite vehemently. The attitude that we just need more bins. Well, we can't keep adding bins. We've got to get people into the habit of taking their stuff home and recycling. So it's important to get that message through. I like the attitude, like Richard said, of something that's a little bit like, you know, how well brought up are you? Something like that. Your mother wouldn't be happy with you dropping litter. Something like that. Something that's actually quite humorous, but in your face. We have to do something, because it's, as Rebecca said, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. There you go.
Okay, Maddie.
Yeah, I agree that adding more bins is not the solution, and there's just a lot of talk around that at the moment, thinking that it will solve the issue, but it really just takes away the responsibility of that person who's littering.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think I love leave only footprints, but it's so used now. People just don't read the signs anymore because they're like, oh, I've seen that before. You need something that's going to catch people's eyes and think, oh, well, I need to take my rubbish home. You know, that sort of like emotion from it now, because it's got to that point where it's like, you know, you have to be a bit more forceful, I think, personally.
Rebecca.
Yeah, you've just reminded me, I don't know why I thought of this. My husband and I were talking about this issue over dinner. And he, you know...
Like you do.
Like you do. You know the placards that are at some of the beaches that say, don't be a lobster? And it's basically like, be careful in the sun. Like, don't just get burnt, right? And my husband thought they were about litter. And I was like, how is littering related to you being a lobster? And then he thought about it and he was like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. But the point was, the lobster is a really memorable image because you don't see a picture of a lobster everywhere you go. So if we could think of something that's like, don't be because that's the thing on social media as well, isn't it? Like, don't be Joe. Joe is the sort of person who leaves a beer can wherever he goes. Be a Joe. Yeah, if we could think of something like that, that's like a don't be something you don't want to be.
Yeah.
That could be quite impactful, I feel, and not very, you don't have to read a lot, do you? You just get it straight away.
Yeah. Richard?
Yeah, the lobster, you could use an image of the lobster with tied up in some plastic or something like that.
That's
yes, that's good, because obviously that's as much as anything of the message that we want to give is it looks horrible, but also the damage that it does to the environment, as you say, particularly on beaches where that's all going to end up in the sea. So that's actually, we could maybe, fashion something to combine the two. Maddie?
Would it be a good idea to use the lobster and add plastic to it, like Richard said, so because people already associate with the lobster, you know, it catches their eye, or use something like a seal or something, you know, everyone loves the seals in Langland, don't they?
That's true.
And it's easy to draw, like, you know, the thing around a seal, because there's lots of illustrations like that you can get hold of, I think.
Yeah. Claire?
You're on mute.
You're on mute. Still on
Sorry.
mute. Yep, that's
it. One of the messages that came through on Facebook was that a gentleman wrote that his wife worked in Morriston A&E and was getting a constant stream of feet coming in to A&E that had been absolutely slashed by glass. And so it's actually the bigger problem here is, as well as the environment, I get, you know, that's really, really important too, but we're really harming innocent people on the beach because they are smashing bottles. And I think that there's a real call here to ban glass on beaches. And, you know, even like places like Surfside shouldn't sell bottles. They should have to decant their bottles into recyclable, or you take your own recyclable containers down the beach with you. That I think there's a massive, massive call to ban glass or in and around our beaches, because it's causing major, major damage down there to many, many people, you know, and people aren't going to want to take their dogs down. And, you know, I mean, the dogs aren't so much an issue because they're not allowed on a lot of the beaches at the moment, but it's the kids. It's so unfair that children are getting cut so badly, and to have this guy writing it on Facebook, I think there's a really big issue here on glass.
Richard?
Yeah, what Madsen says for the seal, I like that one. We could call it the seal of approval, something like that. Or do you want the seal of approval? Just a thought. Go back to what said
that's good.
about the injuries. Can we get the figures from the hospital, and we can have a running total on a sign on beaches? This is on the people that have cut their feet on glass on local beaches, things like that, and with some gruesome photographs. Why not? It's what people respond to. They'll see that. I think everyone that to happen. Just an idea.
People won't want to see that down the beach, though, will they? I mean, I agree. It needs to pack a punch, like cigarette packets, you know, that sort of thing. But it is, you know, it's a place of beauty, and to see gruesome images is going to upset a lot of people. Maybe there'll be, I don't know. I will try and get the. I mean, we could. I don't know how we get them. Maybe ring A&E or try and find out who this gentleman was.
Yeah, we can probably get those from A&E. If I can just, because I've lots of comments. I think there's three key things that we need to think about. One is the fact, you know, that with the best will in the world, it is not just teenagers.
No.
You know, it is routinely adults, people who know better. They are just as bad, and they are particularly bad. And it's been, you know, I've seen posts on Facebook and next door. Oh, the bin was full, so at least I left my rubbish next to the bin.
To the bin, yeah.
No, that is not you know, and they think they're somehow, that's okay. I don't want to carry it home, so I just dumped it next to the bin.
Yeah.
So there's that. So it's got to be a message that is aimed not just at teenagers, because it is, you know, there are irresponsible people, I'm afraid, of all ages.
Yeah.
Secondly, we've got to find a message that is really eye-catching, and I like the seal thing with the plastic and the seal of approval, whatever. I think something like that could really work. We could have signs made, maybe seal shaped, I don't know.
He's got an idea. He's got an idea.
But just hang on. All right, I'll be in a sec. Yes, I'm sure we could get those figures from A&E. Maybe we need to not, I don't think we want those necessarily at the beach or at Southend Gardens or the various other places we might want to put signs. But it's certainly a campaign we could run on the website, on Facebook, other social media, because a lot of people do look at those and things like that. I think we could run, this is how many kids were taken to A&E after last weekend down on the beach. That I think would be a really good message to put out around social media. And lastly, I think if we do nothing else, then I think the bag of rubbish, the signs like Pennard have got, like Oxwich have got, where you've got the board there, you've got the litter picker, you've got the bags, and you just say 2-minute beach clean, pick up a bag of rubbish, bring it back here, we'll exchange it for a coffee or an ice lolly or whatever. And I think just incentivizing people like that is so those are my 3 thoughts anyway. So Phil, can we just have Phil?
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah. He's not on the committee, but we'll let him speak.
I just got home from work and walked in on it all.
Yeah, carry on.
What I was thinking, in regards to media campaign, in regards of what people like doing when they go down to the beach, you got to go back to 1950s photo opportunities, yeah, and postcards, yeah, and the idea of standing and posing in front of perhaps a mural or a wall or something with all the hashtags and
of all the things you can pick up litter you can collect,
but actually some sort of mural on the wall as you go in and go out of from Langlands or wherever, whichever beach we're talking about at the moment, where you can actually stop, take your selfie, yeah, and post it to your hashtag or to the group, basically saying I've recycled today, whatever. If a campaign where you basically have those some sort of pull-up version of the same, yeah, like the things you put out for presentations and things. You have a pull-up version of the same, so you can actually take them around the beach on a nice day and get people to stand up like you used to do at the festivals with your frame.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And basically start encouraging people to do that. But then by putting a mural up on the side of a hut or on the wall,
something that looks pretty as well.
Something that looks pretty, then basically you can continue that campaign. You link it to the site, and on the site you have further information about things like the barbecues, and then pictures or whatever, the warnings and the things that this, that, and the other. So you're basically linking. You're getting people that using their own self-interest to post, linking to the site, and then obviously going from there. Okay. Right, I'll be quiet now. Bye.
He's going now.
Okay, Maddie.
I think that's actually a really good idea, and having a campaign with a hashtag attached to it, I think really does get people involved. And I was just thinking then you could have like a 3-pronged like slogan or tagline that's like collect it, snap it, and like snap it as in like take a picture, and the seal of approval could be a hashtag seal of approval. So that hashtag seal of approval. They upload their pictures. Could be something to do with like on plastic free mumbles or something like that, like campaign within it and an event or something like that. I think that would be really good to push the message, because people love to take a selfie and be part of a hashtag.
Yeah.
It does appeal to a wide audience.
Can I jump in again for a sec and say it'd be great if we had kids art, ask the schools to do something of the poster, because that would bring it in as well. That would make instantly parents, children interested. Grandparents, proud grandparents.
Claire.
I love all that, and it is lovely, but I've sat down the beach, and the people I've seen leaving their litter on the beach are mostly people with bottles of beer, cans of beer. They're lighting barbecues left, right and centre. They're swearing, they're rude, and they're not going to be taking selfies, and they're not going to be interested in hashtags. I love the idea for the, you know, the schools and everything, and we can definitely do that as well. But this is this is something that has to be targeted, and it needs to pack a punch right there, right on the beach while they're doing it. We sat on the beach and had we had a can of beer down there, and obviously, you know, we take it home with us. And there were 3 guys sitting behind us, and they left about 8-9 bottles of glass just all over the place. They got up. They were perfectly, you know, they were young, fit and well. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to say something now. And my friend jumped in and she said, oh boys, here's a bag, do me a favour, put all your bottles in the bag and just give it to me, and I'll take your rubbish up for you, because you can't do it, but that would be really good, don't just leave it there. And she kind of shamed them into doing it. They were mortified, but they had the mentality, I'm leaving my rubbish here, someone else can pick it up.
Yeah.
So I'm really sorry to not, you know, I've seen it happen. I was down the beach in the last time we had a heat wave, and I left after 5 minutes. It was horrendous. There was bottles, there was glass everywhere, and there was just people with that awful mentality, and they're not going to be looking at pictures that kids have done. They're not going to be taking selfies. I'm just sort of, you know, that there are different types of people, and there are the beach cleaners and the people that want to get on board with all of that, and they are the best, you know, and they're the ones that we can educate and bring the campaign to life with. But really, these people need CCTV, and they need on the spot fining. They're so bad down there on that day, you know. And I did notice a massive police presence very soon after that, and they were lined up across the prom, and it was a horrible feeling, really, that our lovely beach needed so much policing. But anyway, that's the reality of the situation.
Rebecca.
Yeah, I just want us to just remember the context that we're in. You know, I think lots of us have been shocked by the litter, and particularly by the broken glass. And the reason we've been shocked by it is that it is new. You know, we haven't had people going down the beach and smashing bottles before, apart from in really isolated incidents. It's very, you know, it feels like an intrusion because it's such an odd way for people to behave on Gower beaches. And I honestly think that, you know, realistically, people who are smashing bottles do not care and will never care.
Yeah.
I think the only reason they would ever care is if their peers, or like you did, Claire, you know, somebody else sort of shame them in the moment into changing their behaviour. And I do think it will get better, because I think there's part of it that is just I've been locked up for 3 months, and this is the first time, you know, I've been allowed out properly, and so I do think it will get better. But the other way it could get better is to just encourage a kind of peer culture of not accepting that kind of behaviour. So like encouraging people to do what your friend did, and, you know, not be aggressive about it, not like, oi, why haven't you picked your rubbish up? But you know, I think realistically, as a community council, we have to target the people who can be educated and will take action, because we don't have enforcement powers. We're not the police.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, we can't ban glass. The only thing we can do really is encourage residents to be those advocates and those champions, and speak to people that they are sharing the beach with if they see behaviour that they don't think is acceptable.
If you say we can't ban glass, how can we ban plastic?
We can't.
We can't. Yeah,
we can just ask people not to use it. We can't actually ourselves ban it. I mean, I don't know whether this is maybe a thought, and I know it won't, the message won't get to everyone, but perhaps us as community councillors on the next sunny weekend, you know, we are the ones, and we have the bags, and we just go up and down the beach, and we just talk to people and say, before you go, can you just make sure that you bag up all your rubbish and you take it away with you? You know, and as you say, it's that almost like not public shaming, but just embarrassing people into being aware that somebody is actually blocking the fact that they've got a load of bottles and cans, and we will be watching if they take them home. You know, we just, I don't know, we put our high-vis jackets on or whatever, and we just wander up and down the beach for a couple of hours, you know, and just, you know, it might at least make people who come down regularly stop and think next time
And we could get
about
press coverage of that.
rubbish.
Press coverage of that would also help.
Yeah, if we could get some press coverage, get the PCSOs involved as well, so that they're saying, you know, putting something out supporting us. You know, I know it's a pain and it would take up a Saturday afternoon of all of us, but you know, maybe that's just what it needs, is just a bit of a physical presence of people realizing that, you know, they can't just do it without somebody being aware of what's going on. Okay, Maddie.
2 things. Where do we stand in trying to look at issuing fines for glass? We have no.
That would have to be City Council.
Okay.
And would probably involve many bylaws.
Right. Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure some town did it recently, didn't they?
Yeah, if they're a local authority, then, you know, just like they can issue parking fines, there are things that they can do themselves.
Yeah, but that
us
busy
as a community council can't.
Okay. And then another one was, in terms of if we wanted to do a more long-term movement, and I agree with Claire saying, you know, some of them are just not going to listen, and they're not the type to, you know, even care about people who want to look after the environment. They're not interested. All they're interested in is getting drinks on the beach, you know. And if there could be more of a long-term movement to encourage the people who do care about the environment to stand up and, you know, encourage them to say something, you know, that could have quite an impact, you know. And it's not the direction I would normally take, because you're sort of encouraging people to spark a conversation that it could be conflicted, but, you know, it's more of a drastic measure that could actually have some benefit. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we could just get, you know, in a bunch of people, you know, a crowd of young people going down to the beach, if just a couple of them are the kind of people who are going to say, this is not on. Anyway, sorry, I'm conscious that poor Claire has got to go.
Can I just say, Carrie, that you can make bylaws.
But we can.
Yeah, certain bylaws you can make.
Oh, wow. How exciting.
It's definitely worth looking at, because it really is bad. It's a big problem. And there are ways around it. And I reckon the beach cafes and restaurants would get on board. Langland Bras could obviously have glassware within its fine dining area, but the outside, they'd be happy to use recyclable, you know, vessels to provide.
I think the biggest problem is most of the people who are drinking on the beach do not buy their drinks from Langland Bras and Surfside. They buy it in Tesco's and they bring it with them.
Yeah, but maybe they're encouraged to bring cans or to decant it, or if there are on-the-spot fines, if the bylaw could be passed, then there's, you know, then there's maybe a reason not to take the glass down the beach, because
it's like no dogs on the beach, you know. It's
they
just
can ban dogs. Dogs are far
you
more
know,
sociable
please,
than
you know,
humans.
bring whatever drinks you want, but please put them in something reusable. Please don't bring glass onto the beach, even if it's just the starting as a please don't, you know, while we investigate what and how we would go about banning it. Richard.
All right, first of all, I know there's a beach clearing in Langland this Saturday at 1 o'clock.
That's Maddie's organised that, yeah,
because we've seen that on Facebook and we go into that. Littering, it's an offence anywhere in the open air.
It is, you're right.
So, our understanding is PCSOs can issue a fixed penalty notice for littering. Okay. In theory, police could deal with it, but if they can, they won't, because they've got more important things to do. But we shouldn't have to go down the road of bylaws unless we're going to ban glass, which, nice thought, but bringing a law in, a bylaw, and then enforcing it is another thing altogether.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't
Part of
it?
the problem. And if you can't enforce a law, it brings it into disrepute, perhaps. But, you know, it's worth a thought. It's something worth thinking about.
There is a deterrent. I think there is you know, you can't enforce no dogs on the beach, but 99% of dog owners don't take their dogs onto the beach.
True.
And even though they know that actually nobody could do anything about it if they did, because unless there was a policeman there, nothing could be done, but they just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rebecca.
That's just another interesting example, though, of the current context that we're in. I've seen way more dogs on the beach this summer than ever before, having been coming here as a kid. And I honestly think it's to do with the fact that people are just not used to living in a society in the way that we used to live in a society.
Yeah.
You know, doing things on their own terms, in their own homes. And I just think we just need to remind ourselves that we live in a community, and therefore the rules that exist are to the benefit of the whole community. And I think the litter is part of that whole psyche shift as well.
Yeah. Okay, can I am, as I say, conscious poor Claire has got her sister who she wants to see before she has to go back to Surrey. So I think there's, you know, we have a lot of ideas there. And I think, you know, between us, we'll kind of formulate what we feel is probably the best way to go. So if you want to head off, Claire, and we'll kind of feed back to you some of the ideas, and then you can think about whether you think those are, you know, things.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I'm, you know, it's great to be just getting on it, and I think we should move swiftly, and I'll just do, you know, whatever you think. I'll try and have a little think as well. And then
Brilliant.
I'm sorry I'm leaving, but later on in the meeting, Steve knows the story, but my niece got knocked down today on the prom by a speeding cyclist. So when you get to that, it needs to be addressed, because it could have been a horrific accident. We've had a really awful time with it today. Yeah, so I know that's a separate message, but I did want to just mention it because I'm sure something needs to be done about it. Sure. But I'll get on to the litter thoughts, and see you all soon. Bye.
Okay, right.
Bye.
Thanks, Claire.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Right. Okay. Well, we've come up with a lot of ideas, but I think we just need to, this has taken up obviously most of our meeting, and we've got a lot of other things to get through, but I think it is important and it is urgent. So maybe we need to just narrow it down to saying, what are we going to do, you know, and actually agree something that we can do immediately, whether it's signage or a physical presence or whatever. So can we sort of see if we can try and get a consensus on what our kind of first move should be? Maddie?
I think signs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we going to, seal signs?
No, very abrupt signs. Straight to,
not seals.
Well, yes, but that could be more of a long-term signage thing. Because in terms, I'm just thinking about time scale. Do we want to get signs up there, you know, straight to the point? Look, you know, we're on top of this situation and we will be watching, sort of thing, you know. And then more long term, we start integrating more creative signs, you know, as people get more on board with it, you know, it becomes a little bit integrated within, like, when you visit the beach, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, maybe we just keep it as simple as take your litter home.
Yeah,
that's not going to do much.
But what is going to do anything different, Sarah?
Well, I was just thinking, using that sort of embarrassing thing, we'll say, I bet your mother will be proud of you if you if you tidy up your mess after you or something like that. Something that actually,
yeah, but it's
if
not
mums
just
are mentioned.
Some of them are the mums, I'm afraid. The mums are leaving their litter
Well,
behind as well as the kids.
I think to a certain extent, like you said about the dog walkers, Phil, like the dog walkers and, you know, other bad behavior on the beach, smoking in pubs, smoking outside even. People are far more polite about it now than they used to be. And I think it's a matter of a drip. I think that works better.
But we haven't got time. I mean, I think that's Maddie's point. We do the seals and the things as the drip, but we need an immediate, you know, something that we can get done next week, literally, you know, before people are back down on the beach.
Well, I think the more direct, I know that we can take the swear words out of that one. You know, are you just a dick leaving your, you know, your paper on? But we can make it almost as direct as that. I think that would be good, because I think it does embarrass people. And if somebody complains about it, then you can say, well, what are you complaining about? Were you leaving rubbish there? You know?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Rebecca.
What about just for the direct, immediate signs? What about like an image of clearly where a group have been and they've left a load of stuff, and the message being, you know, would you leave your living room like this? Take your litter home.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something about it being a shared space, and it, you know, it's part of it. It's all our home, isn't it?
Yeah, I know you. We used to have the same problem, sure they do, but the same problem at the college, particularly at the Gorsinan campus, which has got lots of nice outdoor space that the students used to sit on. And we used to try that, you know, would you leave your living room like this? And they'd just kind of look and say, yeah, but my mum cleans that up. I know.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Can I, there seems like there's some immediacy to the initial signs.
Yes.
Would it be better, I'm just thinking of the production and a bit, would it be better thinking about perhaps a banner or two initially rather than the sign?
Yeah. Could we put banners up on Langland?
Well, on the railings, I just thought you could, couldn't you?
I suppose, yeah, well, above along the prom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
I'm just wondering, in terms of just getting something done quickly, I know whenever we've gone to get a sign made,
I know,
it's
just
amount of time. It'd be September, October by the time it gets up, you know.
Okay.
It is difficult. I mean, I suppose I was thinking in terms of signs as an immediacy, not proper metal signs, but just laminated, I don't know, A2, A3 signs. And I do happen to know someone who could do them very quickly for us. You know, that then, you know, like the council puts up the planning notices that can just be fixed to lampposts or, you know, every sign next to a bin or whatever, just something that we can put up immediately while we get, you know, more long-term banners or signs printed and made.
Why I mentioned the banners, I'm just thinking it might give you could do something quite dramatic, I guess, because you could have them running together with one message, and it could be a really long one.
Yeah.
And it would make a great photo from the from the sea up towards.
Right. Sorry, Rebecca's going to explode in a minute. So.
Oh no.
I've just had one of the most creative ideas of my life. So you better all like it now.
Yeah, we're ready for it. I've got my pen at the ready.
So the slogan is, don't be shellfish, take it home.
Love it.
And you could put it on a banner with the image of something in the middle and the English on one side and the Welsh on the other, because it's so short. Although I don't know whether it works in Welsh.
I'm sure it does. It's the same message, isn't it? Yeah. I know what you mean about the shellfish, yes. I could ask David, he could put some thought into a similar Welsh type.
In Welsh, you could tell them not to be a moron.
Yeah, just write something different.
Be a carrot.
Yeah, I know.
Yours was a lot better than what I was thinking.
Yeah, with something in the middle with a bag of rubbish.
A shellfish, yeah.
A shellfish with a bag of a prawn with a bag of rubbish.
Yeah.
A lobster even.
Or a lobster.
We're back to the lobsters.
We're back to the lobsters. Yeah, any sort of shellfish that's there with
Well,
suppose
Krabby
an
says don't be
oyster,
shellfish.
shouldn't it? It should be an oyster because of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there we are. That'd be great.
I'm writing all this down. Okay. So, yeah, if we could get someone who's got some really good design ideas, I guess we'd go to SA1, Steve.
Yeah, I guess so.
See if they could, and at least if we could start, yeah, with, I mean, how quickly did they turn those banners round for,
I'm sure they could do something in a week or something easily, I'd have thought.
I think we would just have to direct them because at the moment they've got the production of the COVID thank you volunteer banner,
yeah,
the newsletter and this, and also Carwyn's got something for them for Jack. So I think we just have to we just have to tell them what the priority is.
Mm.
But the original COVID banners, they did very quickly, didn't they, Steve?
Yeah,
they did. They got those out really fast. I guess it depends, as you say. The trouble is, at the moment, we've rather been burying them in banners.
It's in terms of design. It's a simple, you know.
Yeah.
Giving them the slogan and then a few images. That's not that difficult for them to come up, is it?
No, they should be able to do it. Okay, so shall we start then with? I can't. Claire was asking, I mean, she said she'd talked to Swansea Council about posters and how they were kind of okay with those. Do you think they'd be all right with banners? Do you think we can just go ahead and get those done? Well, I mean, I think because I would like to see some in Southend Gardens amongst other places as well. And somewhere near the piazza at Oyster Wharf, because they're two other key rubbish dumping hotspots.
I think the general rule is that as long as we ask permission, the answer is usually yes.
Yeah, I mean, they used to be really snotty about it. You know, for Mumbles Fest, they were a pain in the arse about where we could put up banners. But I think anything that's kind of related to the COVID situation seems to be a lot more relaxed about.
Yeah, that's the thing with banners. They know they're not going to be there forever, don't they? So
yeah,
and laminated signs. And
yeah.
I asked tomorrow then.
Yes.
What were the?
So are we happy with that? Don't be selfish. Yeah. Take it home. I will ask David this evening if he can come up with a similar Welsh that kind of works in the same way. And then we have an oyster with a bag of rubbish in the middle. I know oysters haven't got any hands, but you know, they'll have to have one.
Yeah.
The trouble with this, if you've got a shellfish doing the right thing, and you're saying don't be shellfish.
Oh yeah, good point.
Ah, good point. All right, we have an oyster with an embarrassed face, walking away from bottles and cans.
Perhaps a broken bottle of glass in its hand.
Yes.
Looking vicious.
And just walking away from it, leaving their rubbish behind them, which of course oysters do.
Yes, of course they do, when they're not making pearls out of them.
Yeah, they just poo it all out the back.
We could put on the top, oi, Oggy the oyster, behave.
He's the oyster. Okay, so Steve, are we happy with that to try and get an immediate message out?
So you want an oyster looking sheepish, is that what
we do want an oyster looking, yeah, with a woolly coat on.
But what Sarah said there,
an embarrassed face, yes.
What Sarah said there about Oggy the oyster, giving it a name like that people will remember, there's something in that.
Oggy the oyster?
Yeah.
Maybe make that part of the longer term campaign.
Yeah, I think don't be shellfish we'll start with now. And yes, and we can then do something on social media with Oggy the Oyster, who can become a reformed character.
Yeah, he can make friends with the super seal.
Yeah, yes.
Sarah mentioned, I think Sarah said, Krabby says, don't be selfish. Could you have Oggy the Oyster says, don't be shellfish. Take it home.
Well, no, because Oggy's being the bad shellfish that's walking away embarrassed. We will rehabilitate him and bring him back.
Oh, right, okay.
At a later date as the Oggy the Oyster with a message.
So we're going to follow his journey,
are we?
Rehabilitation.
I quite like the idea of Oggy telling Krabby off.
This right here is why I became a community councillor. Can I just...
You love it, really.
Anyway,
well, I was being serious.
Yes, we will all hold those thoughts. We've now got very little time left. Hopefully we can go on till 7:30. That's okay with everyone.
Oh, no.
But we've got an immediate action. Get some banners done. Steve, if you could obviously pass that on to Claire, what our decision is, what we've decided. I'll try and get you some suitable Welsh to put on, and we just need to get the okay from Swansea Council about whether we can put them up in the key. The trouble is we don't want to find that we're going to have so many banners that people stop looking at banners because we've just got banners about everything.
I just think banners at Langland would be dramatic from the beach.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, perhaps we can do the signs.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're funny and they're catchy, people will look at them.
Yeah, and I think yeah, have them on the railings at Langland and Caswell so that people see them from the beach and they see them on the prom. So like sort of double-sided ones, or one each side of the railings, so that whichever way they're looking, they see them. I think that would work, and have them relatively near to the steps, you know, each one, so that people can't avoid seeing them as they come up off the beach. Yes, Sarah.
Oh,
You have to
couldn't resist. Are we going to get costumes dressed up as shellfish and walk around as community councillors collecting rubbish?
No.
Yes, let's all put up. Yeah, we'll get oyster costumes.
Oh no, it's an absolute no.
He's exhausted.
I'll be the walrus. You can be the carpenter.
Still got a shred of dignity over here.
Anyway, right. On that note, thank you very much. And if we jump back, we do have to just quickly, were we all happy with the minutes from the last meeting?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right, the one thing I did notice, your friend, not friend, acquaintance, person who contacted you, Luned?
Enya.
Enya. That's why we didn't Steve and I couldn't remember the name. Enya. She was going to be invited to this meeting.
She was. Oh, Maddie's got her hand up.
Can we move that forward to the next meeting? And can you make sure Steve has the correct spelling of who the person is so that it goes on the minutes?
Yeah. Maddie, is this someone you know?
Yeah, she emailed me wanting you to be part of the volunteer group with Plastic Free Mumbles.
Ah.
Great. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So I actually hadn't pursued it with Enya deliberately because our conversation seemed to be more in the economic space. But now that I have that piece of information, I'll go back to it.
Okay. And then, yeah, so if she can, if you could ask her if she can just come along to the next meeting. You know, she might decide actually economic is more down her line than environmental, but that's fine. But at least then, you know, if she's keen and we can see what she can offer.
If I invite her, Sarah is absolutely banned from suggesting that we should dress up and go down the beach.
I'll remind her of that. Okay, so other than remembering to forward that action to the next meeting. Can we agree the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So we now move on to Maddie's report, which I hope you've all had a chance to look at. Has anybody looked at it?
Oh.
Ah, at that point, Richard and Rebecca both leave.
No, we are here. I am here.
I'm here as well.
Yes.
Looking at things.
Yeah, Zoom doesn't let you be on screen and look at documents.
No, I know. It's I agree, because it's you're sort of flipping from one thing to the other. Right. Well, Maddie, if you could just perhaps take us through the I mean, it was a really good report, and thank you very much for that. And there was lots in it. So I don't know if you want to start by just sort of highlighting maybe things that you would like some discussion on, and then perhaps people can come in with any questions they've got for you on it.
Okay, so basically the first 2 pages, well, 2.5 pages, is about plastic-free mumbles.
Yeah.
Everyone can see that. So it's live on Facebook and Instagram, and I've sort of just established a volunteer group.
Excellent.
And I've started, they're really keen. It's had really good feedback on Facebook. I've linked up with regional reps with Surfers Against Sewage as well, who are keen to help out and be part of the volunteer group, etc. And everyone's really enthusiastic about it and does want to be involved. So what I've done is I've started creating content for it, and one of the volunteers is a local graphic designer, and she's very good. There's one graphic made by her on the report.
Yeah.
And I've started divvying up roles between people, but basically there's different teams that'll do different things and all liaise with me, but they'll all come to beach cleans and help out with all that sort of stuff. But there's a few things that, to get the campaign going and to get not just volunteers who are interested in, helping out and all that sort of stuff, get the community involved and on board and just educated, and they've got all the resources that they need, because there's lots of objectives to fulfill, because basically the whole end of this long-term campaign is to become a plastic-free community and receive a plastic-free status. But it doesn't mean getting rid of plastic. It means, depending on your population size, approaching a certain amount of businesses to reduce 3 items of single-use plastic. So it's really about single-use items rather than just plastic that can be recycled. And it does have this long-term change of mindset and underlying through the whole of the campaign, making sure that we're running events, doing education, we're doing online content, we're targeting businesses, we're making community allies, we've got a steering group, the whole community's on board. It's not just us, and that's great with the volunteers. So there's a few things that I would like to discuss to just give it a little bit more, gravitas, and for everyone to have easy access to all the information that they need to be involved. And I think it gives them a little bit of a, if they see, one, for example, is a website, a standalone website that will have all the logos from us on it, but also the Plastic Free Mumbles logos, which are in Welsh as well. They'll have all the events on there. We can have volunteers writing blogs, because they love to do that. All the, the objectives that we need to fulfill and what we need help with. And businesses will be able to go on the website, click sign up, and then they'll get support from us to help them through their single-use plastic-free journey, and it's all on one page. It's all really accessible, easy to read. Yeah. All they have to do is just go on to that. So that's something that I wanted to discuss. And then passing a resolution. So it's on the council needs to.
Yeah.
On the document, there's 3 motions basically that will need to be sort of said okay against, if that makes sense. So lead by example and remove our own single-use plastic items from like the Ostream, etc. Encourage the initiatives, so like support the campaign, go to the press, you know, tell them what we're doing, share all the things, constant, you know, not constant, but make sure beach cleans are planned, you know.
And not just beach cleans, I think we need
Street
to look
cleans.
at the village as well.
Yeah, so what I've
I know there's issues, obviously, as we talked about with Mark in West Cross as well.
Yeah, so what I've termed it, I don't know if I wrote it in that, but for the volunteers, I've called it beach and street cleans.
Okay.
So it sort of just covers the whole area, but so they know they're not just going to be spending a couple of hours on a beach every time they come to.
Yeah, exactly.
We will be on the street.
So that needs to be in your report. We just need to change that for the recommendation to beach and street cleans.
Street, yeah. And one representative of to sit on the steering group. So the steering group, I would welcome any advice or anyone you can think of to be on it. So it's about a maximum of 10 people, and I need one councillor to be representative on that.
Well,
so
I'm happy to, you know, as chair of the, but what we need to do is find a Swansea councillor as well.
Yeah. That would
I mean, obviously, Mark or Des are our sort of first
okay.
points of call, I guess.
Okay, just write that down. And then, so yeah, that would be basically attending all the beach and street cleans, all the events that we do, whether, you know, whether that be like Mumbles Fest or talks or stuff like that.
Okay.
But the steering group would meet however we see fit. So it could be monthly, it could be less, it could be more, but it involves a maximum
as and when needed.
Yes. It involves a maximum of 10, they say, and it involves like individuals, but also businesses and environmental groups. Anyone you think would give good knowledge, would provide good, you know, sort of be able to spread the campaign well, different audiences, etc. And you just meet to discuss actions to go forward.
Okay, Rebecca.
You might already have thought of this, Maddie, but have you approached anyone from the Shared Plate? Because they've now got their plastic-free shop open down the front.
Is that Dan Evans?
Oh, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I know Dan and his brother for ages, and I was meant to. Well, I've emailed him because he wanted to become a plastic-free champion, which is a business that reduces. So he's looking at even getting rid of like compostable stuff, you know, like really started phasing out. So he actually contacted me to be a part of that. So I will email him again about that.
Yeah, he might. He probably isn't quite the right person for the plastic-free shop in terms of being on the steering group, especially because the people who. So basically, there's like a long history of the Red Cafe doing community-based stuff, and Dan is obviously really involved in that. But my feeling is that the people who are involved in the Shared Plate are sort of a bit new to the table, and it would be really good, I think, to have some fresh insight.
Yes.
And the fact that they've managed to just set up a plastic-free shop when it was like one of the things that I wanted to explore as a community councillor in my 4-year tenure, and they've just gone and done it. I'm like, great.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'd say, you know, ask specifically about who from the Shared Plate would, and the shop in particular, would be the best person.
Okay,
so would that be a start by contacting Neve and asking her who she would sort of suggest we speak to?
Yeah, Neve's probably a good shout.
Yeah.
I don't have the contact info there.
Okay. Of course, Gower Seafood Hut they are already plastic free.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, we've got kind of 2 to showcase already.
And I've got a little, I've got a plaque that I've been sent from Surfers Against Sewage that basically I have to go in, or some volunteers will go in and, you know, they make like a future plan, and you write down everything that they've got rid of in terms of single-use plastic, and you send it off to Surfers Against Sewage HQ, and then you go and take this plaque down to them and take a photo, and then they get a certificate from Surfers Against Sewage to say you're a plastic-free champion.
Okay.
Which is quite cool, because then they, you know, we can advertise it then for them.
Yeah.
It's good for them. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, you know, Gower Seafood Hut, Chris and Sarah made a a sort of conscious choice when they set it up to not use plastic.
Awesome. Okay, they'll have an email online. Well, they all should just ring them.
Certainly they've got a Facebook page, and I've got Sarah's mobile number if you want that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and just any, like, you know, any other maybe community group.
Yeah, and I know that Surfside cafes are certainly they've done something that
Okay.
they've stopped. I think they might have stopped using the plastic forks and things, and
Okay.
so it's worth talking to them as well.
I think when there was all the song and dance about that, what they've done was remove the polystyrene. That's really hard to recycle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they don't use anymore. But double check. Yeah. That was a
They're
little
certainly worth talking to, because they've certainly made some progress, and so maybe a kind of open door to take it a sort of another step further.
Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah, I think they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then steering group. Yeah, Swansea Council. Hopefully, one of them to be on the steering group as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it. You know, Sarah just sent me a message saying it would be great if we could get Mark. You know, A, he's the Lord Mayor, so he's very high profile.
Yes.
And B, he is a local councillor. I mean, obviously, I know we have our own local councillors, but I think we need someone who isn't on the community council as our Swansea Council rep, because that just brings a kind of extra layer of people in.
Yeah, I think that's
so. I mean, and if not Mark, then I think, you know, I'm sure there are particular councillors in Swansea Council who are particularly passionate about this.
Yeah.
And he would probably be able to sort of say if feels he's going to be too busy to commit the time, that he could recommend someone else who would be a good champion for us.
Okay. There's also, you know, for the steering group package I've got here, says, you know, bring in local environment experts or groups for the steering group now. Community leaders, like e.g. faith leaders, school heads, community centres, include, you know, other local community leads to join up with the work. So it's just people that can provide, you know, good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably one of those things that if we actually started kind of publicising it, you know, that the right people might come forward saying, you know, I mean, like Ruth is an obvious one from St David's Community Recycling.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's co-opted onto this committee, but she also, as a community person who is sort of really, really pushing all this stuff, I think she would obviously be a good person.
Yeah, absolutely.
She, again, brings a slightly kind of outside perspective in, and she's got the link in with St David's School as well.
Yeah, yeah, she would be interested, I think.
Okay, so if everyone could, you know, put some thought into, I mean, what would be great if we could get someone from the fishing club, because that is one of, obviously, although it's not exactly plastic, a lot of it is plastic, the twine and stuff, it's such a huge issue with the amount of fishing line and things that gets washed up on the beaches, and the real danger that those are to the fish in the sea.
Yeah.
So if we could get someone who could kind of really start working with the fishing community, I think they would be a really good person to have.
Isn't there a Swansea local fisheries group or something?
Yeah, there's the Flag.
Flag, that's the one.
Yeah. Which still has £10,000 sitting there waiting for us to use it.
Is it?
And it's got to be about information boards.
Oh.
And it was something actually that Terry Scales started. And they still are there, literally saying this money's in the pot, the time is going to run out soon if you don't. And what his idea was, which we could link in with the plastic free, because it's all kind of linked in, is to have like those TV screens with like a rolling information. It's got to include fishing related stuff like tide times and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, it could also have lots of other stuff on it as well.
So were they more like indoor informations rather than like?
Well, it would be a screen that was in a window.
Right. Okay.
One of them was going to be based down in the office at Nabrock.
Right.
In the council office, and we've discussed various options for the other one, but potentially, you know, somewhere sort of down on the prom, if we could, you know, find somewhere that would host the other one, and then it's just a matter of somebody being responsible for updating the information.
Okay.
I mean, obviously the tide times would be like, you could set that for the whole year, you know, and they would just pop up. But in terms of other information.
Okay.
So that is something that potentially we could use, and we could link this in, because obviously it does have a link in with the fishing.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Do you think the Kutch or one of the places along the front there would allow us to put the screen on there, because it would bring in people to look at it anyway?
That's the idea, that we find someone somewhere, some business along the prom who would be happy to, because obviously we'd want one at the sort of, you know, Newton Road end, because obviously if one is down by Verdi's, then we'd want the other one up. So it's sort of Oyster Wharf area, really. But
well, Oyster Wharf would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, Rebecca.
If they're aimed at fishermen, don't they need to be where the fishermen are, or women?
They are on the prom, aren't they?
Not on that bit of the prom, no. From Verdi's onwards up to the pier, I would say.
Oh no, they are absolutely, the prom is thick with them
at the moment.
At high tide, right the way along. I've negotiated round them, walking down from Newton Road down to Verdi's. But I think it's a combination of, it's not just for the fishermen, but it's to promote the whole kind of marine, you know, activities.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to link up to then.
Well, I do have the link person for the flag, so Maddie, if I gave you that, maybe we could pick that back up and see if we can actually finally move forward with something with that.
Yeah.
Or they might be prepared to let us perhaps spend it a bit and, you know, do something a little bit different with the money.
Okay.
But the money is there.
Okay. Well, it's definitely worth starting the conversation again.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah. And
right.
That was it for Plastic Free Mumbles, I think.
Right. Anyone have got any other questions for Maddie on the other bits of her report, which was obviously about, can we agree to put forward the recommendations that she's got that would need to go to full council?
Yeah.
About Plastic Free Mumbles, are we all happy on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, adding in beach and street cleans on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, okay, so Steve.
Carrie, just taking the minutes.
Yes.
I'm just doing the
resolution. Challenge.
You're recommending obviously about the website be created.
Yeah.
The council pass the following resolution supporting, and I've used in Maddie's report there were the notions about leading by example and encouraging initiatives. So I've actually put that wording in your record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so it's explicit what you want council to do. And
then
the steering group is effectively a subcommittee of this committee. You as chair will chair the group.
Okay.
There's one other councillor, and the rest will follow. But that's something you can decide yourself.
So that would be setting up a subcommittee from here. Okay.
And I think that was it, wasn't it? It's a bit about council to get in touch with local press, but that's not really a motion as such. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, so yes, so we as a committee have agreed to set up the plastic-free mumbles subcommittee.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and can we just, you know, for our own narrative, be cognizant that this is like one of the actions that contributes to our climate emergency plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, COVID has sort of derailed that really.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have, in my view.
No, that's right.
And I think it's important that we are, you know, in anything that we are putting out to press or whatever, we keep linking it back to that wider strategy about the climate emergency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plastic pollution is a climate crisis.
Okay, good. Fab. Thank you. Just very quickly, I will just, obviously, Maddie and I are working on the grant for the old, what is where the barn used to be that burnt down, basically, next to Lower Norton Field allotments, to turn that into a community allotment and nature reserve. It's money that is exempted from the Heritage Lottery moratorium on new grants. All the others are shut till October, but this is a Welsh Government initiative that they're very keen to bring forward. So we have the opportunity up to a maximum of 50,000. So I think we've kind of come up with a figure that we feel would do what we want of 40,000, which would enable us to set up the allotment, get a shed put in there, and get a nature reserve developed with suitable pathways and signage and entrances and things. So obviously Maddie and I are working on that. Me less than Maddie at the moment. I got somewhat distracted by my granddaughter on Friday, who suddenly, well, not suddenly arrived. She was 10 days late, but you know, but now has arrived, and so, but now I've got to refocus back on what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's good. I see that you've actually already started on the Keep Wales Tidy. Have started giving you stuff already.
Yeah, I've
So
had.
your house is slowly filling up with stuff.
This room is just about getting into it now, with all the stuff that I've been sent. It's also, I just keep getting surprises in the mail. It's great. I mean, you got nothing, you know, in lockdown, just when you get a good package. And I've got 2 bags of 13-kilo birdseed, so we're good on the birds.
All right. This is for those of you who might have forgotten. If you remember back in, oh gosh, whenever it was, January, I think, was it, Steve?
Somewhere around then, wasn't it? Yeah.
We put in the application to Keep Wales Tidy to do some work on Jubilee Gardens. And then, of course, lockdown brought it all to a standstill. But this is them still moving forward with the bits that we can do safely. And so Maddie has many bird tables, bird feeders, bird seed.
Hotels. Yeah, I've got a lot more to come, I think.
There is a lot more to come.
I am liaising with Pauline, and I'm sort of just going along with their protocol and when they can do things, because I can't start implementing anything until they give me a project officer to work with.
Until your room, you can't implement anything until your room is entirely full.
Yeah, of wildlife things.
Yeah, and bags of compost and all the other things that will come your way.
Oh gosh. I do have one point as well. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
When we have the kind of go ahead from Keep Wales Tidy and we have all this kit, we'll obviously be arranging a time to do another sort of volunteer day down at Jubilee Gardens, and to get that tidied up and sorted out and really start making it into a nice little space where people want to go and just sit quietly and enjoy what's going, all the various wildlife around them. Okay. So Maddie will keep us posted on yeah, when we can make a start on that.
There's one thing I just wanted
Anything
to
else,
say.
people? Yeah, lovely stuff that you're doing for schools as well, Maddie. That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm just playing with what they can give me as well at the moment. I think they're quite busy, like trying to get back into the normality of just like schedules and stuff. So I'm not bombarding them with things.
No.
I'm just waiting for them to say, okay, like we welcome some more things now, we've got time, etc. So I'm making a video at the moment, but I've got some filming to do at the beach clean on Saturday before I finish that.
Okay.
But also the orchard money for
Oh yes.
the grant that I wrote, I got the go ahead today saying they will grant us the money on one condition, that we plant more fruit bushes.
Yep. Yeah, bushes are good. We haven't, and there is apparently one tree that's died, so we will want to replace that. But there is certainly space for. Oh, right. Sorry, Rebecca. There's certainly space for fruit bushes.
Okay. Well, they won't provide the funding for fruit bushes, but they will for all of the tools.
As long as we plant the fruit bushes.
Yeah. So they want to know how many fruit bushes we can now put in, and then if I go back to them with a figure of how many we can plant, they'll then give us the money to buy all the tools for maintenance.
Okay, great. So that's something that we need to then just really spend some time thinking about, and getting advice from Neil Hooper, who has been the custodian of the orchard for us up until this point.
So I'll need to reply to her perhaps tomorrow to say yes.
It's in hand.
Yeah, she's got to relay to Welsh Government like what's happening.
Right.
So she needs to know like the amount of trees that we're going to plant.
Okay.
So she can...
Okay. So we'll try and get that as soon as we can. Sarah.
Yeah, I would suggest some blueberry bushes would go very well around that woodland area. They do really well. The other thing I was going to say is Austrian garden, which we planted up last year, if we could do some weeding of that, because it's still lovely, but it's got a few weeds. I don't know what's happened to the gardener, whether he's on lockdown.
Could be. Yeah. Okay, anyway, yes. So thanks for that, Maddie. And I'm conscious that Rebecca's got to leave at 7:30. I need to leave soon.
I've got to go as well.
I've got to cook some food for people. Right, so if we can very quickly, we've obviously done plastic-free mumbles. We've gone through that. Maybe grass cutting we could defer till next time. People have got, obviously this came from a discussion about whether we could reduce the number of times that the grass is cut. So unless anybody's got any vehement objections to that, that's something that we will continue to progress. And we're also looking at that funny sort of crescent shaped bit inside all the houses on Cedar Crescent. There is some plans for some housing, old people's bungalows apparently, potentially on that site, but there will still be a fairly large area of open space left. And obviously if we can be in at the beginning, you know, if there is any redevelopment, to make sure that we have ideas as to how we want that green area to be used, then, you know, we have that opportunity. Okay.
Suggest we have some sort of public meeting for that, for the people in the area, and talk about it.
Yeah, once there's any sort of firmish plans that something is going to happen, then at that point, you know, but we might want to come up with some ideas of our own anyway that we could then present to, because there's no point in having a public meeting without at least some ideas of what we're asking people to think about. So any ideas people have got as to what might be a nice use of that space that would really give a lot of pleasure to everybody would be great. Okay. This one we do need an update on coffee cup bins. We committed the money. We all agreed that they were going to be purchased, but I'm not sure if anything happened because obviously lockdown happened and things came to a standstill. Steve, do you know what the update is?
Yeah, I've been chasing this up. The actual scheme in Swansea was, there's a group called Hubbub, who are an environmental group, and they were done as part of that scheme. I've been in touch with them today to try and to find out where their bins came, because I've tried Swansea with no luck. Tried the environmental centre, and that just doesn't seem to be open to phone calls at least. So as you say, I think it's just a matter of getting the prices, and then most of the sites have already been agreed by the committee.
Yeah.
It's just hopefully
actually getting them in place.
When we come back next month, we'll be able to say that you and I have spoken and we've arranged for them to be done X, Y, and Z. Because the tranche of money was about 8,000.
Yeah.
For the water filler, which I've asked Claire to get a design on, and you also do more water fountains back as part of that money. But I don't know whether we've never been able to pursue with that company that you did the site visit. So.
I know they came all the way from somewhere, and then they never came back to us.
I've got to go.
Yeah, so is Rebecca, I know. So
sorry.
Bye, Sarah.
Right.
Rebecca. We're basically not quorate now.
No, so we're not quorate now. So I mean, I think it's a shame we haven't got through, because there's other things we do need to talk about, but I think the whole litter thing was probably a priority for us, and it was important to get that agreed. So if we could obviously hold on to all those other thoughts. And I know Claire was very keen for us to talk about the shared space. So maybe people could be putting their minds to some thoughts on the rest of the things on the agenda for us to pick up next time. So hopefully we won't need quite so much time discussing. So if Steve, you could sort of say to people, please could you, out to the committee, consider these things. These will be on the agenda next month, and please could people come with some ideas about them ready for us to discuss next month.
The only other thing I'd say, Chair, is if you thought some of these were urgent, with the Zoom meetings, you can literally call a quick and dirty 20-minute meeting, can't you? With people already having made their suggestions. So perhaps shall we have a chat about that and see?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll have a look and see if there's things that we might want to just progress a bit quicker. I mean, like Mrs. Williams and her painting the benches, so she's obviously waiting for a reply.
Yes.
So we might want to just update her on that. Okay, right, well, thank you for those of you who stuck it out to the end. Okay, thanks, Richard. Bye. Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.